Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his ever-trusty sidekick.
Hello.
Today we are looking at Orcs, which are Orc infantry from Uthmark, which is... actually we seem to be getting into Uthmark quite a bit more these days, aren't we?
Yeah, they've got a few boxes of Uthmark recently.
And we've done the Frostgrave stuff, mainly because of the wizards.
And demons.
But which we use as goatmen. But we're getting into the Oathmark stuff, and we have been looking at the dwarves and the elves of Oathmark, part of the Oathmark range, and so we're definitely thinking about doing a dwarf army and an elf army, aren't we? But we do have lots of orcs, so goblins. So we decided to do some orcs too. I think you've already seen goblins in battle. These are the orcs on the back, and they're great. Before this box came out, it's been out a bit now, but originally the goblins came out, and before the orcs. And I did think about getting some guys in chainmail and putting goblin heads on them to make them into orcs, but I never got round to it. And it's good that we didn't because this box came out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. 30 guys in this box from North Star, and they're awesome. They're really good because this is what you get in the box. Actually, you get a lot of square bases, but who cares?
Do I put the...
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm glad you're here because otherwise I wouldn't know. You know what I like about North Star the best? It's the awesome box art. I actually have Oathmark. I actually have two Oathmark box arts which I use as a screensaver for my computer, the background for my computer. You know the dwarf and elf and orc one? Yeah. I've got two of them and I keep swapping between them. There's one where some dwarves have been ambushed coming out of their mine, and there's another one where there's sort of this ruined tower where the dwarves are defending. Anyway, orcs, these are the bodies, which I quite like. They actually come with quite a decent selection of gear. You've got chainmail, furs, standard jacket sort of thing, and then padded armour, and then a little bit of plate, sort of fish scale type plate. So yeah, you get a decent collection of gear, and they're all carrying what I would guess is an arming sword. It could be a dagger of some kind, but it could also be a short arming, like a Roman gladius. You know, we were talking about arming swords the other day, the other unboxing video we did. I was thinking about it. Romans, the sword was their primary weapon.
The gladius.
Yeah, it was gladius, not a sword. So actually, I was about to make a point about some armies did use swords, but actually no, they didn't, because the gladius isn't a sword. Good point. I'll shut up.
The gladius is very deadly.
Yes, gladius actually is something you can use in combat. You can't use swords. Swords are just to keep people away. I was going to make a point in that video, but we got sidetracked, and that's in films, because you were talking about films in the other video. And you're talking about in films, the guy has a sword and he's fighting a knight.
Yeah.
It's like, and the guy you follow does reenactments, he carries a sword, it's like, no,
yes.
It's useless. In films you see sword fighting, right? And they're using swords to block the other sword, right? Well, for a start, you're going to break your sword doing that. But if you're a knight, you're going to ignore most of those blows. A knight is only going to worry about a blow that can harm him. So if people are raining swords down on him, he's just going to walk through it. He's going to roll with it because he knows the sword can't actually do any damage to him. So he's going to be going for the guy with the mace and ignoring the swords. Whereas in the films, he's always blocking every single blow. He doesn't need to block the blow.
If three peasants had maces, the knight would probably get taken down.
Yes, because one of the peasants is going to get a hit and the knight's probably going to get concussed. I mean, the knight helmet we have a knight's helmet. Sorry, I get not sidetracked here. You see that helmet over there that's currently being used as a shelf?
Right, stuff, aren't you?
Because we're selling that, and because we sold all this World War II stuff, and it's just there so it doesn't get damaged. So it's a shelf. Anyway, that helmet over there, that is your typical helmet used during the period we're playing, and it has a 2-inch gap at the top of the helmet full of cork. And the reason for that is if someone has a mace. It's to take the blow of a mace on his head.
If you get hit on the side though, you're
going to go deaf or you're going to break your jaw. Yeah. Maces are going to end your problems pretty quick. Yeah. But yeah, so three peasants with a mace, bad. Incidentally, the Agincourt, the most famous medieval battle ever, the British won, yay. The support troops who were hired to fight, because the French wouldn't allow Frenchmen to fight. They wouldn't let peasants fight, because if you train a peasant to fight, he might have ideas about overthrowing ye king. So you see, in England, we trained peasants to fight, and you know what that did? That made the monarchy behave.
Yeah.
So we didn't get silly taxes and stuff. Eventually we did, and we had a civil war. And we cut the guy's head off. But that's besides the point. Yeah, so the French wouldn't let peasants fight, so they hired Italians mainly to come and fight, and the Italians carried crossbows and arming swords. They never used the sword in combat because you can't. It is useless. You're fighting English knights who are men-at-arms, who are fully armoured. Your sword will do nothing to them.
Yep. So
once you find your crossbow, you're off. You're leaving. Also, if you're fighting longbowmen, yeah, you can fight a longbowman, but a longbowman doesn't carry a sword, he carries a mace. So your knights against crossbowmen, against longbowmen, longbowmen are armed for night.
A longbow can go.
A longbow can go through armour, yes.
Metal armour.
Yeah, a decent range. It's £60 draw. If you hit the armour just right, it will get in the armour. It may not go through a night, but it will hurt, and it will stick in them, and then they will have trouble.
Slow them down.
Yes, it will slow them down. And also, you don't, unlike films where you fire the arrows in the air, you don't do that. You actually fire at the target.
Quite quickly.
Yes.
It's actually not, they do fire. I understand in the film they do make them fire once in the air, the longbowmen.
It's
that's
handy.
For the cavalry.
Yes, if you have enemy cavalry, it's like mining a battlefield. The arrows stick downwards, and the horses find it hard to walk through them. So it slows down a charge, which it did.
Yes.
It did. But
they ended up charging like in individuals.
Yeah, and they dismounted, and then they dismounted and fought on foot.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah, because then there was no point trying to get through on your horse, because your horse is going to get killed.
The British put themselves in a huge muddy field, so the cavalry gets stuck.
Yes, so you have to fight on foot, and yeah, and the French knights also didn't have. You have this thing you strap to you, like a sandal you strap to your boot, but you can't use it in the stirrup, when you're riding. So you have to put that on, and so some of the French knights didn't have them, and so couldn't stand up because the boot would sink into the mud, and you couldn't get it out, which was an unfortunateness. Anyway, sorry, we're talking about orcs.
So French. No.
Against the French. Well, the orcs actually would have defeated the French at Agincourt because the orcs have maces.
Yeah, the orcs don't really care about morale.
Yeah, the orcs would have first of all have fired huge amounts of arrows at the Frenchmen. Then, of course, the orcs only have short bow, not long bow, so it probably wouldn't have done much damage. But then the orcs will just swarm the French, just like 20 orcs on one knight, get him down to the ground, or hit him with a mace, or just struggle him. Yes, some orcs will go down. The orcs aren't really armoured for night.
No.
This guy and this guy might be alright, but generally the French are stuffed.
The good thing for orcs is that they just don't care about morale because they're so bloodthirsty.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
That goes for them.
And they're in a huge gang as well. So there's lots of them, and they usually have a wizard or an ogre. So if the orcs are in trouble, just send the ogre in or a wizard.
And you just have a leader that's just so insane that everyone just follows him.
Or some huge big orc guy.
Giant orc.
And he's like, oh, everyone will fire at me, you follow. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that sort of thing. So even in even you're talking the stupid orcs, which is like Warhammer, which is where it's just orcs are just taken to the maximum degree.
Humans.
Yeah, they take it to the maximum degree, and then you get orcs in Lord of the Rings, There's actually no difference between them. It's just the way you sort of view them is funny or not funny. But
the Lord of the Rings are more coordinated, aren't they?
Oh, they're proper soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually organised soldiers who can read and write.
Warhammer is just mayhem. Just go for it. If
Yeah.
you don't work, we'll come back later and do it again.
So it's like completely different way of looking at things, but it's the same result both ways. I do like the orcs in Lord of the Rings. They are very well portrayed.
I like Mordor's orcs. I don't like the orcs that Saruman make.
The Uruk-hai or the orcs?
Uruk-hai, I don't like the Uruk-hai.
Yeah, you don't really see many orcs in. Like, there's no orcs in the Battle of Helm's Deep, is there?
No,
there's only
Uruk-hai.
The orcs actually surrendered in the book. The Uruk-hai were defeated, they ran away and got killed by the Horns. But the orcs and the Dunlendings surrendered.
Killed by who?
The Horns. Very angry Ents.
Yes.
Which aren't in the film either.
It is now.
It is.
Extended edition.
Oh, the extended edition. Yeah.
Because like all of a sudden a forest just appears. It's like,
yes.
Where I come from, the orcs all run into there, and there's nothing going on. And all of a sudden all the trees just start moving. You see orcs screaming.
Yeah. But in the book, the orcs and the regular orcs and the Dunlendings surrendered, and probably a lot of them were probably killed.
I think the Mordor orcs are probably a lot like these orcs.
Yes. These would be more. Bear in mind, Saruman's orcs would be in some form of uniform. Saruman was that sort of person.
Yes.
He probably sat for hours designing the helmets and stuff. Mordor orcs, here's your scimitar, so just scrape the rust off and find some armour off a dead orc. Whereas Saruman, he probably went in for, he had regiment names and everything.
But because he spent so much time making each individual soldier better, as good as possible,
yeah.
If you lose 10 of them, that's like losing 100 Mordor orcs.
Oh yeah, Well, your Mordor orcs are really way to numbers. The Uruk-hai, who are half human and half orc, so they're humans. And the book, I'm talking, not pod people from the film, where Saruman makes them in pods.
Yeah, they go birthed.
Yeah, like something in Stargate Atlantis. No, they have done basically thousands of years ago. Sorry, does it count?
This is orcs.
Yeah, it's orcs. Sorry. Shall we show them the box cover? There, there's a box. There's a box there. Right. The Dunlendings. Like, see some finished orcs there while we talk, and then we'll get back to it. Just skip forward about 10 minutes if you're not interested. So in the book, years and years ago, the Rohirrim turned up and conquered the land of Rohan. But Rohan wasn't owned by the Rohirrim. The men of Dunland lived there, and the Rohirrim kicked the Dunlendings out, or they ruled over them, and didn't treat them very well because they weren't Rohirrim. And the Dunlendings eventually, under a guy called Wolf, raised a rebellion, and Wolf and his soldiers ended up trapped in Helm's Deep, and he actually ate his own pillow with his staff's death, his army staff's death, and the Rohirrim won. After that, the Dunlendings were kicked out of Rohan entirely. Like, every Dunlending had his farm taken from him, and they were thrown out. And they went, some made it to Bree and founded the town of Bree, but Barlaam Butterbur is a Dunlending, and some went to Orthanc and asked the wizard Saruman, who is a good wizard, remember, at the time, and said, please, can we hide here? And Saruman said, yes, fine. I'll protect you from the evil Rohirrim who are victimising you and stealing your land. And then the Orcs came and said, we've been killed by the Rohirrim. We have a little village on the side of the river. They just came and burnt it for no reason. And they've stolen all the crops and there's cows. And Saruman said, well, come in here. Come and live here. And he encouraged the Dunlendings to have babies with the Orcs. And so the Uruks are the offspring of Orcs and Dunlendings. Whereas the Uruks of Mordor, can I say their actual name? I don't think I can on YouTube.
No.
the colour of the sky at night when there's no moon, orcs. Those orcs they were created a different way by using slaves, prisoners. Captured elves and captured Gondorians and some Haradrim that had annoyed him.
In the books and stuff, no one ever says that the Rohirrim is good. No one says.
Oh no, they're
even
not.
Gandalf, when he saves the King of Rohan, he doesn't say, good king, you just go back now and just start doing better.
Well, the thing is, what you have with both kings, you've got two old-aged kings in the books, right? You've got Denethor and
you mean the steward of Gondor?
the steward of Gondor.
And then you have the King of Rohan.
King of Rohan.
I forgot his name.
Now, the steward of Gondor, he was a real big head, right? Now, when he was younger, this guy came and knew lots of stuff and sort of helped out in the kingdom and showed his kids how to fight and stuff. That was Aragorn. And he suspected that guy was Aragorn because he wasn't getting any older, right? This is like 80 years, it would have been like 40 years before. So he knew that the kings were around still. Then he started using the Palantir and looking abroad, and he started to see that the orcs were marching around, and of course he met Sauron. And Sauron was sort of constantly goading him, saying, "Oh, you're going to lose, look at all the troops I've got, you're going to lose." And he believed the propaganda. Well, actually, they were going to lose.
They did lose, even with
they did lose. The gate was knocked down. So that's what happened to Denethor.
Only because Boromir died. If Boromir didn't die, they probably would have never lost the river.
If Boromir would have stayed, would it have made any difference? I mean,
They ran away in the end because the people of Gondor knew they couldn't win. Everyone knew they couldn't win. There was no way they'd be able to hold the river. And his brother wasn't a leader. His brother only just got there in the end. In Faramir. He only just arrived at the battle.
The company of Ixilian.
And then looked into the river and went, "They're here, come in." It's too late.
He only had about 60 men with him anyway. I mean, it wasn't make much difference.
And then the steward's like, "Now make a stupid charge to retake the river."
Oh, it was actually to protect the wounded. It was actually to get the wounded off the field. It was a stupid suicide charge, yes.
And now all the best men, the best cavalry died.
But they were actually covering the retreat of the wounded soldiers. I seem to remember in the book, I'm not sure in the film. In the film he just goes mad and wants to get everyone killed, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, because he doesn't believe, does it? Because right at the end, before he dies, Gandalf knocks him out. He looks over the edge and sees the entire army of Mordor at his gates. He's like, "Oh God, run for your lives! Abandon your posts!"
Yeah.
And then Gandalf's like, "Yeah, just quiet, sleep now."
Yeah. You know what? Burn yourself.
So
it's fine.
He must have really not fought the enemy were here yet. He must have still fought them in the river.
Well, see, to get so many troops across the river, you would need bridges, and the bridges have been destroyed. But didn't Boromir destroy the bridges?
It's not in any of the films.
I think Boromir destroyed them. So they only had boats to get across, and they did this sort of D-Day landing sort of thing, which do see a bit in the film.
But they also, at the same time in the film, in the extended edition, they rebuild the 3 bridges.
Right.
Yes,
so
they just flood the town.
Yes, and so Denethor didn't know probably that many troops had got across. And bear in mind when they did get across,
siege towers and stuff across as well, didn't they?
Yeah, but when they did get across, they didn't immediately flood the plain of Pelennor. They were still able to gather crops from the plain. So clearly the orcs weren't there. They stayed in their Osgiliath and didn't come out of the city.
They waited probably.
Yes,
until they had
and so that would have made Denethor think that he could have actually done something. But yeah. Anyway, so that's Denethor with the King of Rohan. He is a doddering old man because he's had Wormtongue sat next to him the whole time. Poison in his ear. Now in the film it's magic and Gandalf blasts the magic out of him. In reality it was just Wormtongue being a little slime ball and sort of saying, "Saruman's good, don't kill the orcs, let the orcs move through your land and burn your villages, it's fine."
Well, Saruman's deliberately trying to kill the king's son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was deliberate. Because
I thought it was deliberate because you actually see the attack in the extended and it does look very deliberate.
Yeah, because when they attack, The Rohirrim are fighting. There's like 1,000 Rohirrim. They're all fighting, and the moment the King's Son is killed, all the Uruk-hai flee. They all withdraw, and that's because their job was just to kill the son.
And go home.
Yes, all Saruman is trying to do is take out the command and control. So kill each son, each.
There's only one person left on each end.
Yeah.
He took 1,000 cavalry, 3,000 cavalry, and just rode away.
Yes.
So he was banished by Wormtongue.
Yeah, and do you know the guys who turned up at the very, very end of the Battle of Helm's Deep? No, there's they have the company from who were fighting under Erkenbrand with them, and he was sort of patrolling. Oh, it's a long story, but yeah. So they all come together for the Battle of Helm's Deep, and but. Subjectively, it's an interesting premise.
I mean, if Gandalf and that weren't there when the beacons were lit, I don't think the King of Rohan would have helped Gondor in any way.
Yeah, Rohan wasn't actually waiting for the beacons to be lit, were they? And they didn't just light the beacons. They also sent runners and to let people know, because just to make sure it's not foggy or something. But so they certainly knew what was going on. And they knew that the call would come sooner or later, so they were already organising ready to come and help. But the reason they weren't there before was because they were being attacked in Helm's Deep.
And they only just received the news that Isengard had just fallen.
Yeah. And
see, if it wasn't for the Ents, Rohan would have had to send everything to Isengard.
Oh yeah.
And Gondor would have fallen.
Yes. Oh, without a doubt. And if you think of the elves, under Elrond, they couldn't make it through because the orcs were blocking the pass, so they couldn't
only get one regiment in, and that was to Helm's Deep.
Well, they were elf cavalry at the Battle of Plenar Fields, because Gil-galad was not Gil-galad. Who's the guy who told the Witch King he was going to be killed by a man won't kill him? Glorfindel. Glorfindel was there with a bunch of cavalry, so because the Witch King sees Glorfindel and goes, "Oh God, it's Glorfindel," and runs away like a coward.
But in the film, he uses the beacon of light.
Yes, but it's actually Glorfindel, and he sees Glorfindel, so goes off. He sees the King of Rohan laying under his horse, which has been
it's like me and just talking about Lord of the Rings, and we were like, why don't the Eagles just take Frodo and send him to Mount Doom? And I thought it's because at that point the Eagles are scared of the fell beasts.
Alright, do you want Tolkien's answer to that question?
What is Tolkien's answer?
Because he did actually answer that question.
Yes, he just said, it's time to go away.
He said, shut up.
Yeah.
In reality, right, eagles are actually...
Yeah, same thing for Erebor. The Eagles take him like for 1 minute ride and then just took them really far away from Erebor.
Yeah, on the last Erie, because they can't be bothered to land on the plane. Yeah, the eagles were put on. They're the sort of the messengers of Iluvatar, the dude who created the world, God basically, and they kind of work directly under that guy, and they aren't really supposed to take direct action. They could have just flown to Mordor, but, well, to be honest, what's to eat in Mordor? Yeah.
An eagle doesn't have any armour.
No, but they are the size of a 747.
Exactly, so it's kind of
they're huge.
That's the problem.
You could probably hit them quite easily.
Yeah. So getting to Mordor, there's like 1 million orcs in there.
Yeah.
Half of them are bows. You have the fell beasts as well. Who probably just get shot out of the sky.
And of course, if an eagle dies, it don't come back.
Yeah.
So
the fell beast, he just gets reborn, doesn't it?
Yeah. They're baby dragons. They're bred by camel. Is it? No.
Yes. I think said that.
Is it camel? Is it camel the breeder? It's either camel or ren who breeds them. They're a type of dragon, which, because if a wraith sat on a normal dragon, it would die. So like Smaug would be stuffed, but they're a particular type of dragon. And the horses, the black horses that are ridden by the The Black Riders.
Yeah.
They're a particular breed of horse grown by the Rohirrim for the Dark Lord. Yeah. For the last 1,000 years, the Rohirrim have been growing the black horses used by the Black Riders. The Rohirrim are good guys, by the way.
I think that's everything.
Yeah, sorry, we haven't even actually discussed the figures.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. Look, we've got bows.
We did all that.
And we've got
just
things.
We just haven't done the.
You know what? Should we just like do another video that's actually the unboxing video?
Nah, they're gonna like this.
Oh, they probably won't. See, there's this stuff like heads and things. Yeah, we'll do a different video. Anyway, that was our discussion on Lord of the Rings. Tune in for next week's episode. Maybe we should do that more often, actually. You have to think of some interesting stuff about LOTR. So, any more things to add?
No, that's it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Right. No more Lord of the Rings questions?
No.
No? Right. That's it then. So, thank you very much for watching. This has been Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick. Goodbye.
See ya.